Hello everyone. Today we'll be learning how to use Endpoints Readiness. During the course of the video, there will be pause breaks. It is highly recommended to pause and try out the feature yourself during these breaks. Endpoints Readiness is a great feature that allows the user to make sure all the right checks and balances are in place before running their patch cycle. It is also a great place to start understanding where problems with an endpoint may be occurring. Today, we will be learning about Endpoint Readiness and how to use it. To get there, simply go to Endpoints Readiness. If you have never used Endpoints Readiness before, you'll need to enable this by going to Settings, Enable Endpoint Readiness, and then hitting Save at the bottom. Now you should have something similar to this setup here at the top. The top gives you a high-level overview of what is going on in your environment. The first section represents your total readiness as a percentage. A ready endpoint is any endpoint that shows 100% endpoint readiness over here. Any yellow question marks or red X's will prevent your endpoint from showing 100% readiness. The second section breaks down your endpoints into 3 categories: ready, unknown, and not ready. The last section over here details the reasons that your endpoints are either unknown or not ready. If you would like to look closer into the endpoints with specific unmet criteria, you can simply select the criteria on the pie chart and Jetpatch will display the endpoints with the selected issue. In addition, the charts will adjust to any filtered settings above, as you saw. For instance, if I filter on Group B, it now shows only my machines in Group B and adjusts the analytics accordingly. Now, you may be wondering why there are different criteria for different machines. This is because depending on the operating system being used, there are different criteria that need to be checked for. If an endpoint does not require a certain criteria, there will be a gray dash through the area to represent that it is not applicable. A green check mark represents that the criteria is met. A yellow question mark represents an unknown variable, possibly because Jetpatch is unable to check if the criteria is met. And finally, there's a red X, which indicates that the criteria is not being met. The last important column is last reported. This column can help show when the endpoint was last scanned and indicate when any problems may have started to occur. I'll take a quick pause break to let you try out the page. Let's head into settings and learn how to configure a repository and other applicable settings. Adding a repository can ensure that your endpoints are pointing to the correct repository. Simply select Add Repository and fill in the information here, such as the name, operating system, CIDR block list, and the repository ID. Other applicable settings that can be enabled is the Linux subscription toggle if this applies, changing the default check-in intervals, and specifically with Windows users, how often Jetpatch should check in with WSUS for endpoint readiness communications. Most importantly, make sure to always save at the bottom when altering your settings. That's about it for Endpoint Readiness overview. Remember, Endpoint Readiness ensures that your environment is technically ready to complete the job. If any issues do arise, be sure to check out Endpoint Readiness troubleshooting videos.